and as a place of discovery, events and learning at every stage of life. It's your library. Visit us today.
Did you know that Merri-bek is home to a diverse community where more than 95 languages are spoken? That's why we offer information on council services in your language. If you've received a rates notice that you don't understand, would like to request a new bin, or have another question for council, we can help. We have free in-person and phone interpreters who can help you communicate with staff at council in your language. To request an interpreter, simply call 92401111 and ask one of our customer service staff to organize one for you. You can also request an interpreter at one of our customer service centers, libraries, or maternal and child health centers. At Merri-bek, we're proud of our diverse community and we want to make sure everyone can access our services. For more information about our language services, please visit our website.
In Merri-bek, we now have a 4-bin waste service. All households need to separate mixed recycling, glass recycling, food and garden organics, and general rubbish. This will help reduce the amount of waste we send to landfill and improve the quality of recyclables in Victoria. Glass bottles and jars now go in your new glass recycling bin. Lids must be firmly attached. Loose lids go in your general rubbish bin. Steel tins, aluminium cans and foil, paper and cardboard, and plastic bottles and containers go in your mixed recycling bin. Food scraps and garden clippings go in your food and garden organics bin. You can use paper towels to wrap your food waste. Put your glass bottles and jars, food scraps and mixed recycling in the bin loose, not in bags. Plastic bags and other items that can't be reused or recycled go in your general rubbish bin. This includes kitty litter, animal droppings, old textiles and nappies. General rubbish should be bagged or wrapped. Update your recycling knowledge today. Learn what goes in each bin by visiting merri-bek.vic.gov.au/recycling-guide.
I had insulation put up on the top of the roof. It was a good thing to do. When I read it in your local paper, and it said, it does help, and the lady was very happy. And I said, if she's happy, I think I will be happy too. And yeah, I think it's the best thing that I came up with. The difference that it's made, it's comfortable, especially in summer. I hate summer. Yeah, winter I can put a jacket on, but summer it's terrible for me. So this, keeps everything down nice and clean, comfortable for the summer. I have to go through the winter, but I think it will be just as good. Yeah, just have it done. The people who actually looked after the job and done the job, it was the best people that I come across. I felt very comfortable. I felt like if I was with my brothers. Yeah, so have no fear. They're great people.
Make the smart choice for your business. Choose Merri-bek. ready to welcome your business and help it start, grow, and succeed.
Yo soy voluntaria en el jardín comunitario de mi barrio y eso me ayuda a estar conectada con la naturaleza, con mis vecinos y conmigo misma.
जब से व्हील सिस्टर्स के ज़रिए बाइक चलानी सीखी, अब मेरे घर वाले सब गाड़ी का इस्तेमाल कम करने के लिए इकट्ठे बाइक चला के खुश होते हैं।
हावामा लुगा सुकाउनु भनेको घरेलु ऊर्जा खपत घटाउन मैले प्रयोग गर्ने दिगो अभ्यासको एउटा उदाहरण हो।
أستخدم بقايا الطعام للتسميد ثم أستخدمها لزراعة الخضروات في الحديقة.
मैं अपने घर को ठंडा और गर्म रखने के लिए आसान प्राकृतिक तरीकों का उपयोग करती हूँ, क्योंकि आराम प्रकृति से मिलता है, सिर्फ बिजली से नहीं।
मैंने बिजली से चलने वाली गाड़ी का इस्तेमाल करना शुरू किया ताकि आने वाली नस्लों के लिए एक ज़्यादा साफ दुनिया छोड़ सकूं।
Io cerco di usare borse di stoffa per fare la spesa e evitare prodotti sigigliati.
من با غذا دادن به همسایه هام از اسراف جلوگیری میکنم.
No matter how big or how small, every single one of us can play a role in creating a sustainable future.
My name's Joe. Every morning I clean Sydney Road and some of the surrounding streets. I often work with our crew, who are a great bunch. They're hard-working but also up for a laugh, and part of what makes me get out of bed each day. It's really quiet first thing, but there's always a lot to clean. Sometimes it's a bit of a mess and there's rubbish scattered around. I clean the footpath, the street furniture, the bins and remove graffiti off public buildings. I like it. It keeps me busy. It feels pretty satisfying to know that at the end of each day I've made Sydney Road look a little better for everyone who lives, works and visits here. Cleaner streets make it a nicer place to shop too, and that helps our local traders. And as everyone starts their day and the shop's open, I get to meet some lovely community members and their dogs. Everyone knows Sydney Road is legendary. We should all show it some love.
Libraries are the heart of our community. They connect us, inspire us, and support lifelong learning.
Whether it's borrowing books, thank you, learning how to use computers,
Getting creative in our makerspaces,
or simply having a welcoming space to belong, the library is the place to be.
We're always evolving our spaces, collections and services to meet the diverse needs of our wonderful community.
I love my library. It's a safe place to be, it's inclusive. I always find something new that interests me. It's not just a place for books anymore.
a library has something for people of all ages.
And is a place of discovery, events and learning at every stage of life. It's your library. Visit us today.
Did you know that Merri-bek is home to a diverse community where more than 95 languages are spoken? That's why we offer information on council services in your language. If you've received a rates notice that you don't understand, would like to request a new bin, or have another question for council, we can help. We have free in-person and phone interpreters who can help you communicate with staff at council in your language. To request an interpreter, simply call 92401111 and ask one of our customer service staff to organize one for you. You can also request an interpreter at one of our customer service centers, libraries, or maternal and child health centers. At Merri-bek, we're proud of our diverse community and we want to make sure everyone can access our services. For more information about our language services, please visit our website.
In Merri-bek, we now have a 4-bin waste service. All households need to separate mixed recycling, glass recycling, food and garden organics, and general rubbish. This will help reduce the amount of waste we send to landfill and improve the quality of recyclables in Victoria. Glass bottles and jars now go in your new glass recycling bin. Lids must be firmly attached. Loose lids.
Good evening, councillors, members of the gallery, and to our viewers live streaming tonight's meeting. My name is Councillor Nat Abood and I am the Mayor of the Merri-bek City Council and the chairperson for tonight's council meeting for planning and related matters. It is my pleasure to welcome you to tonight's meeting. We are meeting on the lands of the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people. We wish to acknowledge them as the traditional custodians of these lands and waterways, and we would also like to pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging, as well as to all First Nations communities who significantly contribute to the life of this city. This council meeting is being recorded and web streamed live to council's website and YouTube. This recording will also be available as video on demand. Attendees are advised that they will be recorded during the meeting. A reminder that as councillors, we will act in accordance with the Councillor Code of Conduct, which will support the principles of leadership and good governance that secures public confidence in the office of councillor. In the event of an emergency or disruption, we may be required to take action to ensure the safety of attendees. For members of the gallery and councillors attending in person, please follow the directions issued by council staff and security officers. Thank you for your understanding and cooperation. I would like to introduce the other councillors in attendance tonight. Councillor Helen Davidson, the Deputy Mayor.
Good evening, everyone.
Councillor Liz Irvin.
Hi, everyone.
Councillor Chris Miles.
Evening.
Councillor Helen Politis.
Good evening, everyone.
Councillor Alice Svensson. Good evening. And Councillor Oscar Yildiz.
Good evening.
The following councillors have been approved to attend tonight's meeting via electronic means. Councillor Jay Iwasaki and Councillor Katarine Theodosis, and I believe they'll be joining us in a minute. And Councillor Bolton has notified me that she is on the way. I'd also like to introduce Mark Hughes, the Unit Manager for Urban Planning, and members of the Urban Planning team. So we do not have any apologies for tonight's meeting, but I do need to note that Councillor Pulford is on approved leave of absence from the 10th of August 2026 to the 28th of August 2026 inclusive. So I'll now move to disclosures of conflicts of interest. Councillors, are there any conflicts of interest to declare? And I see, Councillor Irvin, you have your hand up.
Yes, I have a conflict on item 5.2. I just live in the vicinity of that site.
So immediately before we consider the item, I will ask you to provide details of the type and nature of that conflict of interest, and then I will ask you to leave the meeting before the item is moved and to return after the item has been considered and voted on. I also need to declare a conflict of interest on the same item. I own a business which operates at East Brunswick Village, so I will hand over the chairing of the meeting to the Deputy Mayor at that point and also leave the meeting after I declare my own conflict. Councillors, could I please have a motion for the confirmation of the minutes of the council meeting for planning and related matters held on the 22nd of July 2026? So many hands. Councillor Irvin, I saw you first, and Councillor Svensson to second. All those in favour? I declare that carried. Thank you. So before we move to reports for consideration, I will outline how this council meeting for planning and related matters will run this evening. For the item in relation to a planning permit application, the relevant planner will introduce the report and the officer's recommendation. I will then give the objectors and supporters the opportunity to make their submission. After this time, the applicant will be given the opportunity to speak. If you are making a submission, Please clearly state your name for the record. You are requested to present viewpoints clearly and concisely on why you oppose or support the planning application. Please do not repeat what earlier speakers have said and keep the discussion focused on relevant issues and points not previously raised. If you are opposed to the planning application, would you please inform the meeting why you are opposed and suggest an alternative approach which would satisfy your concerns? Please use this opportunity to focus on your concerns rather than matters of detail in the officer's report. Please note that there is a limit of 3 minutes for each speaker and the permit applicant, but as chairperson, I reserve the right to increase or reduce the time available to any speaker. I'll now move to the presentation of reports. We have 2 reports this evening. The first one is 5.1, the City Development Activity Report for the June quarter. Does any councillor have a conflict of interest to disclose? We have no one listed to speak to this item. Are there any people in attendance in the gallery who would like to address council on this report? Yes? I'll just double check. I think you might mean the next one. So we'll see you in a minute. Thank you. So councillors, could I please have a motion? Councillor Irvin and Councillor Politis. Would you like to speak, Councillor Irvin?
Yes, just moving the officer recommendation. And just to add, this is a regular report that comes to us and sort of summarises the planning activity over the last quarter. And sort of note in this particular report is that we have seen an increase in the number of planning applications that come to us. So it's been 15% higher in the last 12 months than in the 12 months before that. And what is really good to see is that we mostly perform above the state average for our timeliness in making decisions on planning applications. Really the only area that we fall slightly below this and are exactly on average is with the Vic Smart approach of planning applications, which is mainly due to having a higher than average number of 2 dwelling applications. And we're also doing well at VCAT, either winning or having concerns addressed in 87% of cases. And there's also a summary of the planning and enforcement activity that is taking place as well. So it's a good report to read just to get an idea of what's happening in planning across Merri-bek.
Thank you, Councillor Irvin. Councillor Politis, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Mayor. Councillor Pulford has already made some of the points that I was going to raise, which I think are excellent. There's plenty of joy in this report. Also, one thing to note is that 6 developments were approved in the last financial year. And of these approvals, it will provide an additional 384 social and affordable dwellings in Merri-bek, which is wonderful. And the last very positive point that I want to make is that a total of $2.1 million in public open space contributions was collected, which will help fund new parks in our municipality.
Just to correct you, that's Councillor Irvin and Councillor Pulford's not in the room. You said Councillor Pulford. Irvin.
I'm so sorry.
Are there any speakers against the motion? Or any other speakers in favour of the motion? Or anybody else who would like to speak to the motion? Okay, so I'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? And I declare that carried. So the second report we have this evening, I need to ask, does any councillor have a conflict of interest to disclose? Councillor Irvin?
Yes, I have a conflict on this item. I live in the vicinity of East Brunswick Village.
Thank you so much. So as you'd hear on Hard Quiz, out. And I also have a conflict of interest, so I'll hand this to you, Councillor Davidson. I am a part owner of a business that operates in East Brunswick Village, so I have a direct conflict of interest. Thank you.
Okay, thanks everyone. I'm Helen Davidson, Deputy Mayor, and I am taking over the chair for tonight. So we have the report amendment to approve East Brunswick Village Development Plan. And I'll ask Vita to present the report.
Thank you very much and good evening, councillors. So tonight, Council is considering a proposal to amend the East Brunswick Village Development Plan, which is a document that guides how the East Brunswick Village precinct is developed. The East Brunswick Village is located between Nicholson Street and John Street, south of Albert Street in Brunswick East. The precinct is currently under construction with several of the 5 to 6 storey buildings already completed. The proposal before you tonight relates to an area of the site facing John Street in the southwest corner, which is depicted in yellow on the screen. So this part of the site is currently vacant. The site is predominantly in the Commercial 1 zone and is affected by a development plan overlay. It's an area of significant housing growth in line with its location in the Brunswick Activity Centre. The development plan overlay requires preparation of a development plan to show how the land will be developed, which is essentially a master plan for the area. The East Brunswick Village Development Plan has been prepared and was previously amended in 2018. And planning permit applications must be generally in accordance with the approved development plan and are exempt from public notice and VCAT review. The main change proposed to the development plan is to revise the southwest building by reducing the street setback of the 6-storey to John Street from 40.8 metres to 9.2 metres. And that's shown in the comparison image on the screen. So the existing approved plan is on the left and the proposed is on the right. And the red colour indicates the extent of that 6-storey. Other changes shown have generally already been approved as part of the planning permit for the site. In terms of public notification, the development plan overlay allows council to authorise the display of an amendment to the development plan. Notice was given for 1 month and 17 submissions were received. Key concerns were in relation to the impact of bringing the 6-storey closer to John Street, including visual bulk and shadow concerns. It should be noted that there is no right of review at VCAT for submitters. Council must assess the changes against the requirements contained in Schedule 11 of the Development Plan Overlay, including whether the change remains generally in accordance with the concept plan, which is shown on the screen, and whether it achieves graduated building heights and recessed upper levels from John Street. The Council Officer Assessment has found that an additional setback is required in order to achieve adequate recession of the upper level and graduation in building height, in line with the objectives of the Development Plan Overlay. Overshadowing was determined to be acceptable. The Council Officer recommendation is to support the proposed amendment to the development plan, subject to the 6-storey being set back 18 metres from John Street rather than 9.2 as proposed. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Vita. I believe we have 2 objectors who have indicated they wish to speak, and they are online. First up, we have Alex. Oh, and I welcome Sue, who's walking into the chamber now. But we can move to our objectors who are online. Alex Breeden.
Hi there.
I'm showing them on the screen, but they're not there, but you'll be able to hear them. So you can't see them on the screen, but you can hear.
Okay, no worries. Okay, so it's just the audio we will be able to hear from the objectors tonight. However, we won't be able to see them visually. Please go ahead, Alex.
Sure thing. Do I have 3 minutes?
Yes.
Or, yeah, okay, sure thing. I have 4 points, so I'll be brief. So I'm not opposed to good development, especially in inner city Melbourne, where housing is more important than ever. However, I find the premise of this applicant's submission has failed to demonstrate how they will improve both immediate conditions to the surrounding area or make any meaningful contribution to the broader housing affordability challenge in Melbourne. So my 4 points are Number one, this is a major change, not a minor amendment. So the sixth story was originally proposed at 40 metres with a 40-metre setback. This is now reduced down to less than 10 metres. This is a fundamental change to the street that I live on, John Street. Number two, there's no clear justification for the additional mass. The applicant refers to in their application changes to market conditions for the reason for this change, which is understandable. Markets change, the makeup of housing changes and stuff. The assumption, they don't say this, but the assumption is that they need to make, well, it's in the plans that they need to change from one-story bedrooms to two-story, one-bedroom apartments to two-bedroom apartments. However, there's no clear indication or reasoning why this needs to translate into more GFA, especially heading towards John Street. So point number three is that John Street needs a genuine transition. The approved plan that's been in place for an extremely long time has a very reasonable setback, and the frontage onto John Street is a reasonable transition from a residential street to a mixed-use development. So bringing this sixth story forward fundamentally changes that interface. Lastly, I would implore the council to ask what is the public benefit of this change if we're being asked to accept additional bulk and a poorer street environment, yet the proposal actually delivers fewer homes. Stage 2 has a reduction from 256 to 252 apartments, and building 5, the one in question today, is a reduction from 121 homes to 117 homes. If the GFA is not delivering additional housing and the frontage to John Street is in a poorer condition because of that, I ask the council to seriously question what is the benefit of this application. Those are my 4 points. I might just sort of summarize very, very quickly what those were again, and then I'll stop.
That's okay, Alex.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right.
You have reached your time and your points are made very clearly and concisely. I appreciate you joining us online tonight. We'll move on to Caroline Tan, who is also joining us online. Hi, Caroline. Could you just test the microphone?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead. You've got 3 minutes.
Yep. Hi, my name's Caroline. I live on John Street. I live opposite the where the apartments are going to be, and I won't kind of repeat what Alex said because I agree with everything he's mentioned. But I want to reiterate that the main reason why I'm against these extra, floor area is that there's been a precedent set in the street already for multi-story buildings. And it's, there's on 102 John Street, there's a 4-story building with a 5th story that's set back, which is exactly what the proposal originally was the new proposal was. And for some reason, they've changed that. It's gone through a process and can't see why they're adding another story, even though it's set back a bit, you'll still see it from when you're walking into the street. So we're really against how it's not aligned with what's already there in the precedent. Not to mention that it is opposite an NRZ zone that's 1-story and 2-story houses. It seems like the other kind of townhouses in the area are able to stay at 3 stories, but this particular amendment is going beyond that. The second thing I wanted to mention was that it's quite, I'm not sure if any of you live in the area, but it's quite congested, or very congested on Nicholson Street. I understand that apartment living is meant to promote walking and, taking the the train and public transport, bike riding, but people are still using their cars. They have to. If they have kids, they're going to do that. It is really packed in the area. It's not even full yet with the Brunswick East Village, and it's going to be even. There's just no need to add a few more apartments when it's already feeling quite congested. We don't know if there's any kind of correlation of what the strategy for transport is and where apartments get put in, but it's very dense. And we're really concerned about even just a few extra apartments, how that's going to affect the whole area, not just our street. And the last thing I want to mention was I know that there's a housing crisis, but what's been proposed opposite us on John Street is more apartments. For what I'm reading is that at the start of the year, there were 8,000 brand new apartments that remain unsold. And that actually equates to 1 in 6 apartments, new apartments from 2020 to 2024 that aren't being sold. So what I'm hearing is we've got a housing crisis and we've got an oversupply of apartments. Now, if you just look at Merri-bek generally, don't have all the numbers, but there's a lot of building going on for these small apartments, and the diversity isn't there. I know that this proposal has been set as apartments, but there was a really lost opportunity to have some kind of diverse types of typologies, such as units, like that could have been sold for a lot more. I think it's a lost opportunity. So my main argument is that there's too many apartments there already. We don't need extra, and there's been no reason or no one's told us any benefit for adding more. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. Appreciate you coming online tonight. We'll now move to the applicant, Giovanni Gantani from G2 Urban Planning.
Thank you, councillors. My name is Giovanni Gattini from G2 Urban Planning. I'll be familiar to some of you. I've been the project planner on this project since 2011, so that's been quite some time now. Councillors, I'm here to respond to any questions that you have in relation to the submissions and anything that might be of a technical nature. But I must say we're a little bit disappointed that the council hasn't come to our request to reduce the setback down to 9.2, specifically for the reason that when the DPO was constructed, it had this arbitrary blob in the middle that said higher built form here, and then various transitions. One of the things that we've really done, and I think we've not been given credit for, is that EBV has in fact created greater setbacks and relief to its respective interfaces than what was required in the development plan. And we always get pulled up when we try to move built form, but we never get the recognition where we've actually increased the setbacks. So it was our contention in coming to council with a 9.2 metres that fundamentally you're not going to see that projection further towards John Street, because by any objective assessment we ran view lines, we did long distance views. You could see that the only thing that you could see is a slither of the top parapet of that particular unit. So we didn't feel that it was going to be imposing on the streetscape. Having said that, there is no rigid figure for setback on John Street, so we appreciate that the planners have tried to strike a balance. Okay, so in that regard, I think the community should be more than happy with an 18 metre setback, which is an extensive setback, and a setback by today's standards would not be provided in any apartment development, respectfully. So we're working with an old control now, and it's one that isn't consistent with the sorts of planning parameters that are applying to activity centres where one would expect greater heights. So I think it's fair to say that EBV observes a very rigid built form structure, and despite its size and its strategic input. So happy to field any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Giovanni. Are there any questions from councillors for the applicant? If there's no questions, is there a mover who wishes to move a motion in relation to this application? Thank you, Councillor Bolton. And a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Irving.
I'm happy to move the officer's recommendation. You know, I'm very wary about the idea of changing parts of a development plan overlay once it's been adopted, and because of the lesser rights that people have from these development plan overlays, like people can't appeal to VCAT if they're unhappy with what's been put forward by the developer in terms of any changes. So I actually think just simply on that point alone, I don't agree with the change that's been put forward by the applicant. I think, the 18 metres, I know that is a compromise. It's not as big a setback as the original proposal, but that does, is a bit of a middle ground. And I haven't heard what the objectors think about the proposal being put forward by council officers. But, from my understanding of the images I've seen, it looks as if, it can't be seen. And I am very aware of the nature of John Street. I don't live near John Street at all, but I am very aware about the congestion of John Street, and also the low the fact that many of the dwellings are actually small houses. I know there is some apartment development within the street, but a lot of the houses along the street are just single dwellings. So I think that does need to be taken into account. So anyway, I just, I think really on the grounds of some level of democracy that we already developed, already voted on a proposal in the past, I do not want to see it changed.
Thank you, Councillor Bolton. And just to correct the record, it was Councillor Svensson who seconded Councillor Bolton. Giovanni, you may take a seat now as well. Thank you. And I'll turn over to Councillor Svensson. Do you wish to speak?
Oh, yeah, I'll just say some brief comments. I think the whole process of planning really is about compromise and negotiation. And I think this is what is reflected in the officer report here, that there are very understandable concerns raised by residents. And I understand that there was a lot of work put into the original plans that were approved, but 2011 was quite a long time ago, and things do change. So I think trying to find a balance between understanding the different environment that we're in terms of building and development at the moment, but also considering the very understandable and reasonable concerns from residents, I think are both incredibly important. And I do think this report strikes a balance between the two of those. So I'm glad to see that we're able to get an outcome that hopefully will meet everybody's needs.
Thank you, Councillor Svensson. Are there any councillors who wish to speak against the motion? No. Are there any further councillors who wish to speak? In that case, I'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? I declare that carried. I'll now hand over to Vita to outline the next steps. Thank you, Vita.
Thank you very much. So Council has just determined to approve the amendment to the development plan, subject to the condition that the upper level setback to John Street is increased to a minimum of 18 metres. All submitters and the applicant will be informed of the Council decision in writing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And councillors, that concludes our meeting tonight. I'd like to thank those who attended and watched the council meeting online, and to those people who attended in person tonight, and to the applicant for coming this evening as well. I now declare the council meeting closed at 6:59.